Hello, Sally, and welcome to the Make Life Rich Movement podcast. Thank you so much for
Oh,
coming on.
thank you so much for having me. I'm so stoked to be here. This is fun.
Everyone, we are absolutely going to have a lovely conversation with Sally today. I have gotten to know Sally over the last, we'll say, 4 months. It's been quick. And goodness, she's just one of the brightest lights that truly exemplifies what it means to just live life to the fullest. Your energy just like precedes you at all moments, and you brighten the room in like whatever level is appropriate for like what's happening. I've seen you in so many different contexts, and it's just so lovely to see someone that has like that level of flow with others and just connecting. And it makes a lot of sense because you are absolutely one of the leading healers within our area that people go to get in better touch with themselves and make the environments around them more comfortable and like more in alignment. And I just am so obsessed with all of your knowledge and everything you know. So I'm very thankful that you're going to share that with us today.
Well, I'm
Um,
so excited, and I'm equally obsessed with you. It's so funny because I actually when we had book club or not writers club
Writing club.
together the other night, and when you were speaking, I think I said something like really. It was because I thought about it afterwards. You know, sometimes because I just say anything, and afterwards I'm like, and I was like, I'm totally obsessed with you or whatever. I don't even know. I'm so attracted to you or something. I truly meant it, but I thought about it the next day. I was like, this girl's probably like,
No, your vibes are exactly that. It's honestly like you know when you were younger, like we're talking like probably pre-7, and you would just meet like little girls on the playground and be like, "We're best friends." Like
yes,
that's
I love it. Like,
that's
why
your
wait? What are we waiting for?
Yeah, your energy is just that. And I think it's so refreshing because I think it's a testament to the work you've done and the person you are. But there's just so much opportunity right now in life, I think, especially for women, to just chill a little bit. And like, can we try to take it back to a place before things got weird and complicated? And you are, gosh, let's like just run down what you're working on currently in like your offerings, but you have a virtual community where you're helping people. You have beautiful space, BeSoul in Wildwood Crest, where we were doing the writing class with Marina, who's our um, instructor for that class. And you also give Reiki trainings, which I
Mhm.
cannot wait to talk about. You're also a feng shui expert, and it was so interesting to hear Tracy, another person in our writing club, kind of talk about like what that change was like for her. And I never really thought too much about feng shui, so I'm super excited to talk about that. And then you're an intuitive soul coach and mentor. Oh, and you also are an officiant to help people get married in a really
Yes,
beautiful
my
way, which
favorite.
I love.
My favorite.
You're out here healing in the best way possible. Like, where did all of this start for you?
Girl, I don't know. I think I
Take it back. Take
the
us back.
the back well, let's see. In the birth room. No, seriously though, literally. My mom had me when she was 16. And I think I came out of the womb with like jazz hands, like everything's okay. We're gonna be okay. It's okay. We're gonna figure this out. It's gonna be okay. And I think I've been kind of like following that path kind of my whole life. So I don't know really where it came from. I joke that it came from there, and maybe it did. But I I refuse to live my life in fear. I refuse to live in drama where we're not understanding each other. I'm always curious. I've been an incredibly curious person, a curious child I went to Catholic school for like up until like grade 3. And it was not a good situation for a very curious young girl.
For sure.
Not at that time. It wasn't handled well. I was like, "Sister, excuse me, like, why would God do that? And why blah, blah, blah?" I was challenged everything. But I've consistently been that person that kind of questions and challenges everything because I think curiosity is just, I don't know, isn't it funner to be curious than to know everything? And nobody
Yeah.
knows anything anyway. So what are we doing? You
Right.
know?
Exactly. Wait, are you a Virgo? Do we
A
establish that?
Virgo sun, Aries moon, Virgo rising. Lot of Virgo. But the Aries moon always makes sure that the wild child in me is kind of like, all right, put
Totally.
that shit down, let's go.
But I feel like grounded Virgos that are living in alignment are very childlike because they're so creative and they're so talented that all they want to do is play on their thing. My
Yeah.
husband's a Virgo.
Uh,
And like, I'll tell you what, the transformation of being the very methodical Virgo when working for like someone else into like starting to work on his craft, it does really like allow that part of you to feel safe and like get to it, like rip it up. Like, what are we, and that is truly a testament, I believe, to like what I know of you and what you've told me about your life. Like, it does seem like you've just been crushing it. Like, everyone has obstacles, but I really love your demeanor when you're facing challenges. Like, let's just talk about the time where you feel like you kind of entered into a space of mindfully wanting to like grow because you've always been cheery, but I feel like there had to have been a moment where you wanted to channel your focus into these arenas because they come to you so naturally, but I think that's what makes them so authentic for you, but you are very learned in all of these areas. So I don't want to like diminish all of the like work that you've put into and the education you've put into them because you do authentically have these things. Like your hugs are healing. So I can only imagine like what your Reiki and your other services are like because of all of the education and the time that you've put into them.
so, first of all, I love a good hug. And it's funny, for a long time, I had a friend and we were like, we're going to actually teach classes and tell people how to hug. It's just going to be a hug class because there is a proper way to hug. You know, you put your heart on their heart. Like, don't give a little, like, if don't hug then.
Yeah.
If we're gonna share energy, let's mean it. Let's make it
Yeah.
like loving, so heart to heart, holding each other. I just think it's just such an intuitive read on people too when you hug in that way, you can have empathy or understanding, and you may even feel like, oh, they're a little crazy. That was nice, but so back to, I don't know. I know that I've been insatiably curious forever and incredibly creative. Like my there's a very blurred line between my creative world and like reality. And I've been coined in my family my whole life, oh, Sally's world, like as soon as I start going. And it was I guess it was funny and then offensive for a while. And then it was like, fuck it. Yeah, that's right. And Sally's World is great. You should meet
Mhm.
me there. There's a famous Rumi quote that I just love that I will butcher, and it's just out beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing. There is a middle, and I will meet you there.
Ooh.
Just
Yep.
very
Let
simple.
bygones be bygones.
Just like let's just walk that middle. But I was very curious about, well, starting out in Catholic school when things were a little crazy in Catholic school back then, you were allowed to manhandle children, and it was rough. It was rough for this curious girl. And my mom was so young, so she wasn't like really gonna,
Yeah.
she was scared too. But moving on from there, I was just incredibly curious about the stars, obsessed about astrology, and obsessed about this thing called feng shui. I seem to have this like really unique call to like all like Chinese, Japanese arts. Just found it so fascinating. And I really started studying that stuff as a teenager, not because I was doing it, just because I was like, how does this, it made sense to me.
Hmm.
It just made sense to me. Politics don't make sense to me. Even, anybody that's kind of pressing a hard rule, it always was a red flag to me. But I just always saw God in everything, like in everything, in everyone, in people's eyes, everything. Like, so that curiosity just, I could not turn off. From astrology, just being very curious. I can remember like looking at a full moon that was probably a super moon way back then, and saying, we were at a family gathering, like, look up, look at the moon, look at the moon. Nobody's looking at the moon. People are like, yeah, and I'm like, but it's a giant planet, it's dangling from the air. It's like right care? Like, why are we talking about that? Why are we talking about that person or that thing? And why are we not talking about the sun and the moon and the stars? Like, it's fascinating to me. And the same with feng shui. When I came across feng shui, at first it was like, oh, this is a cool like style element because I was always making something, making my clothes, making everything. Um, so I love the idea of working with natural textures and how they all weave together and how all of the elements feed each other. And that is the natural cycle. That is the natural cycle. And that natural cycle rules our seasons. It rules everything. And to me, I was like, well, that must be God. That must be God because that doesn't like winter's not interfering with summer. Like summer's not at war with autumn, and like all the seasons kind of know their way, all the elements know their way. There's a natural order to life that
Mhm.
makes sense and is untouchable by anyone. I don't, the world is weird, in case you haven't noticed. The world is very weird, and there's a lot of power gripping stuff, and I just pay no energy or time to any of that. I never have. My father would say, "You just don't abide by rules." I'm like, "Well, there kind of really isn't any." Like look to nature, follow nature. It just that is the ultimate to me. And when I found Reiki, well, when Reiki found me, because I didn't find Reiki, I had already been very exploratory in these worlds, but it was very woo-woo, I should
Mhm.
say, very
Mhm.
Sally's world. And then when Reiki found me, it was like, that's it. That just makes sense. Now I know how to channel it. Now I know how to connect with this life force
Mhm.
and I can use that energy because we're all just energy. We can move energy all around all the time. And I can use that energy to consistently right myself to get in flow with the natural order. And it's just, I've never turned back. And I don't know how to like live any other way. And I don't know, just brings me
Man,
such joy. It helps me understand people and it just works.
wow. So I love that you literally, from such an early age in life, usually we're all just like, floating aimlessly in the wind at that time. But you did have these passions. How has there been like a break in your life career wise, or have you literally just set out to start doing this at a young age and that's what you've been doing ever since?
No, I was actually a hairstylist for
Oh, so fun.
yeah.
Another creative thing. Makes sense.
Loved doing hair. My first love, though, was I wanted to make clothes. I just wanted to be a fashion designer. Like, that's what I really wanted to do. And then I had a really crappy teacher that was like, just like, you're not, not once again, the Aries moon, never following the rules. She's like, you have to follow the pattern. I'm like, but I know how to make it. And then I was like, well, what am I going to do? I remember saying to my mom, what am I going to do if I can't, like, if the teacher's not like honoring my creativity, if I can't like grow here, what am I going to do? And she was like, ah, forget that. Go into hairdressing. I was like, oh, all right, I'll do that. So it just seemed like a transfer of
Hmm.
creativity was perfect. And I did it for until my first child was born, and then I continued to do hair from home. I had a little place in my basement. It was called Salon Sally.
Love it.
Kind of like carried my book. I did very, very well. I had mad respect for that industry, but also during my time of my hairstyling days working in the salon, which was so fun to work in a salon with a bunch of creatives and everybody's just wildly crazy. The stories were amazing. I learned so much about music and culture and everything during those years. It was incredible because I was the youngest girl in this very affluent, very these people were really good at their craft, the salon I worked at. So it was really wonderful. But they also had our meetings were very unique. They weren't just like a regular, like we're gonna get together Monday night, we've got our salon meeting. It was we had a shaman there, and there's a lot of sage being burned, and he's asking us to get creative and have a dream, and then we all talk about the dream, and then we would have our sales meeting. So it was very unique. Um, and that kind of really started to open me up, I think, to a lot of different things. So I really saw hairstyling as a very spiritual practice. People are
Yeah.
coming to you to feel beautiful, you
Yeah.
know? And there's an image that I would always get while a person was talking when they're explaining to me what they wanted. And I already knew right away, just
Oh,
knew. So it was fun to be able to present people, with a vision that I was picking up off of them of how they wanted to look, you know?
yeah.
But it was during those years of working for home, and having my first daughter, my second daughter immediately after. I have three kids; they're very close in age. Um, that spirituality just started to come online a lot
Mhm.
harder, a lot more serious. And I just started studying. I just wanted to make sure that I was, putting them in the right things. It was like, you better get them in CCD immediately. And I just started to, I got to study all religions, which I did,
Mhm.
which was super cool. And there's so many beautiful religions out there too. It's like amazing.
Mhm.
So that kind of, as soon as you open, as you know, as soon as you open any doors, like everything else starts flick. Curiosity is like a never-ending staircase.
Yeah.
And that just led me to all of these different things, life coaching, feng shui. Actually, when I quit hairdressing one day, this is a funny story. I was cutting hair in the garage. I had people that were just like consistent, they were coming every 4 to 6 weeks. And this one person that I'd been with her for so many years, and every month it was just like coaching her and trying to making her look beautiful, and like no changes in her life were ever happening. So this
Mhm.
one night I got really frustrated with her. And normally I can just be like, oh, whatever they want to do. But I got so frustrated, and I was like a little stronger with her. And I was like, how long are you going to be talking about these things? Like, it's just really time. I can make your hair, you could look amazing every time you come here, but what is it worth? What does it mean if it's like, if that all is that all we care about, what we look like, you know? And I just felt like I just like couldn't get there. So I came in the house and I put my scissors down on the island, and I told my husband at the time, I was like, I'm not, that's my last haircut. I'm not doing this anymore. And he was like, you're crazy. You have this large book and everybody's going to think you're crazy. And I stayed up all night that night because I felt like I made a huge proclamation. I better have something to follow it up with. What am I going to do? So I found this thing online because I was Googling all these things, and it was called fashion feng shui. I was like, this is for me. Thank you, God. This was made for me. Signed up in the middle of the night. Next morning, husband wakes up, three babies at this point. I'm like, I am going to be going to Boston to take this training for fashion feng shui. It's going to take me a few months. I'm going to be dipping in and out. And like, this is what I'm doing. And he was like, you're nuts. And even my mother was like, nobody knows what you're doing. You're meditating yourself crazy. Like, what is happening? I'm like, you'll get it. You'll get the language. You'll all figure it out. But it was really that when I went to take that course, and my teacher, her name was Ivana Magoria, and she has crossed over the Rainbow Bridge, and she was a big, big, big catalyst to putting all the pieces together for me that were just woo woo or Sally's World into something really beautiful. And she gave me permission to be the fullness of myself, to have a place to land it through feng shui. She also was kind of, I believe, the gateway to me finding, or Reiki finding me, and everything just came to place. And it's been a consistent journey, like I've been doing this for so long. Had podcasts, had probably 7 websites. I don't even know anymore, just continuously growing.
Yeah.
And here I am now. I actually had another BeSoul studio before in Chadsford.
I
Uh,
love Chad's Ford. It's so
oh,
beautiful.
love Chadsford. It was gorgeous, right on Brandywine. It was beautiful. And then we moved, and
Mhm.
then opened up a studio down here. So it's like I can't get out of this. It's like I
Yeah,
just
it
like,
is you.
it's
It is
just
you.
in it.
I wonder if you could take us back to the moment where you were wading through the opposition of like everyone close to you telling you you were crazy at such like a pivotal moment in like a young mom's life. I think what you just said, I think that decision, if I'm gonna like take an assumption, was the biggest decision you've ever made for your life because it took you out of just becoming only a mother
Yeah.
and then following that trap of like sequestering yourself and not allowing yourself to blossom and grow through being a mother instead of just being a mother. And I feel like it's something millennials are starting to get a little bit aware of because they're seeing what their mothers are trying to grow through because they didn't simultaneously live their own life. And you, man, wow, I have like goosebumps because that one decision makes you an absolute testament to that specific scenario that most moms go through, where they
Yes.
say, it's okay, I'll wait till grade school.
Yes.
I'll wait till middle school. They're almost
And
graduated.
they
We'll wait till
graduate.
college.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
So
yes,
can you
yes.
like take us back to that time and like
Ugh.
where did you find the resolve to be like you're no,
I was
me.
really struggling, not gonna lie. Like I was as I was coming online to a lot of different spirituality practices, I started to realize how much of my life was fluff.
Mm,
And I think we all fluff life, right?
yeah.
Just to kind of
Yep.
save face. And here we were in this, I'm remarried to my husband at that time. He was doing very, very well for himself in like pharmaceutical sales. And it was wonderful. We were living in a nice big house and in the suburbs, cookie cutter like community. But I was really struggling in that. I just like couldn't, I couldn't get down with the mom groups. I just like couldn't do it. They weren't growing me. They were more gossipy and very kind of like, keeping up with the Joneses kind of thing. I was had zero interest. I didn't care what color your drapes were. Like, tell me about your soul. What are you reading? Like I don't. And there was this one specific day at the playground. Everything was organized play groups too, which like I could not get down with either. Like, let the kids go out and play, can we? But I definitely, I'm 54 now, so my kids are in their mid to late 20s. So that era, just to paint the picture here, was really helicopter parenting. So we're at the playground, mom's group, and I could not get into a conversation. I'm looking around and I had this like real like outer body moment where I was just watching and observing. And then I hear my daughter calling my name. She not calling my name, calling mom, 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 mom. And I go over to her, but as I'm going over to her, it's like a slow motion walk, and I'm looking around, and no other moms are responding to those three little humans. I'm only mom to three people. I had this huge awareness. I was like, I am only mom to these three people. That's my only role as mom. It's not my whole freaking life. I'm Sally, and I'm mom to these three people. So it was like, it sounds silly, but to me, it was like huge permission to not identify myself through that. I love being a mom. I love being mom, but I'm mom to three people, not to the world. And I don't need to identify myself as that. So that was a big aha moment for me. And then I started to realize a lot of the things in my life that just like weren't really fitting anymore. Um, and my marriage was one of them at that time. We were just growing separately. He was on the fast track to success and he was killing it. He was doing a great job. Meanwhile, I'm in yoga teacher trainings and doing all this stuff. And we just were growing in different levels. So, leaving that marriage and not identifying myself where I was kind of, I wouldn't say being pressured to, but like the world was kind of pressuring you to be that at that time was not easy. Was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my entire life. I felt like I was dying. I never thought I was going to make it. There were days where I was like, I'm not actually going to be able to do this. I was definitely looked at as like the black sheep. Like people weren't really getting divorced. So weird, you know? This was back in 2014. I mean, I can't really explain it. So I mean, I say that because I would think I was like the first in like the suburban neighborhood we were living. It was like,
Well, yeah, it shines a light on the
dude.
shadows in a lot of people's lives. I think that's where healing for me has always been such an interesting thing to observe others going through and then being able to see that exact effect. It's like you're bringing a halo into the area that they've been able to keep dim and dark for a very long time where they can push it down and forget about it. And I
Yes.
think that's kind of one of the interesting, like, it's like you made the decision to face into the shadows, shine some light on it. Let's get in here, let's get a plan, let's clean it up, let's move on. And they are the exact opposite. And it does really, I'm sure, put a shockwave
It
through a
was,
very sleepy ecosystem of people that don't want anyone to think about what you just did or what your relationship or like
yeah.
how that went down.
It was very, very hard. It was very public. And so it was like very difficult. It was hard for my kids, but we did our best, we made it through. We all like hunkered together and stayed together and everybody's great and fine and they've all managed their lives, but it didn't come without its hardships and we were definitely and automatically different than any other family in our neighborhood where they were going to high school. So that was tough. Had to, leave the big house and we got this little teeny weeny little house little barn house that we rented, had a little barn in back of it that I like quickly turned around and turned it into a yoga studio or a place I could teach. And the wildest thing happened was all of a sudden, out of the blue, all of these women were calling me. I think I'm going to get a divorce, or things are changing in my family or my dynamics or something. So all of a sudden, all of these women were coming to me. All of a sudden, the kids were saying their friends were coming to them at school and saying, "Hey, do you think your mom can teach me how to meditate? I'm like really stressed out and my family's changing too and I don't know what to do with it." So we were like that was kind of like a mini like spiritual hospital. Like we were all broken, but they were all coming and it was amazing. It was incredible until it grew to a point where I knew I needed to open a studio and things just kind of continued from there.
I have
Um,
head to toe goosebumps right now. The
it was
fact
cool.
that your biggest and hardest thing you've ever been through not only birthed your new career and your new path of life, it gave your children a place, probably very contextually, to be able to recognize, like, my mom is brave. My mom did something very hard. She helped us be brave. She helped us do something very hard. And everyone around us can see the work that we've been through to get to the other side to where they now feel brave enough to ask for help. Like,
Yeah.
what a gift to give not only yourself, but like your children. And then the trickle effect that it sounds like it went through your community to then lead to creating a community space that can only keep facilitating all other kinds of healing. Like, whoa, one decision
One
down the
decision.
mountain.
Right, right.
Whoa.
And it makes me so like my heart's pounding even saying like I'm emotional like cuz it's been a while. So when you look back in hindsight like we talked about in writing group the other night, it's like you see it all. When you're going through it, you can only see it's like driving at night with the headlights on and you can only see that distance but you can't see where you're going, you know? So you have to have a lot of faith. Lot of faith.
Man.
Even
So
when nobody believes in you, people you love are falling away, they don't understand you anymore. You just have to keep having faith.
I think there's a lot to be said about what can happen in a woman's life when she does start to believe in herself and that she's capable of doing anything. I think it really does make a lot of like BS fall away. But I wonder if you were to give anyone like a bit of advice in terms of just like facing the critics that could start within yourself. Usually it starts within ourselves. In those moments where you found yourself, before you were like, F it, like, let's go. Like, how did you deal with the internal dialogue that wasn't always supportive of just like, let's go?
Yeah. Well, I started a podcast and that was like kind of at the ending years of my marriage, but it was for me, it was I needed somewhere to talk. Like I was consuming a lot of information and I needed to talk about it. So it was called Soul Sister Circle. It was fun. I invited two girls to
Bring
come
it
on with me,
back.
friends. And we would just talk, and that these poor girls, they were like, "You're crazy." They were awesome and it was fun. And we were kind of like on I would say the spirit. See, I didn't know what was doing. I didn't even know what a podcast was. This was like 2007 or 8 or something like, I don't even know. I didn't know. Went on Blog Talk Radio. It looked like a cockpit to an airplane. I was like, I don't know how to work all these things, but like,
Oh,
and we
I
just
love
did
it.
it. And we had on great guests every single week. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just like hit up. I'm like, Gabby Bernstein. Hi, Gabby Bernstein. Hi. I have a podcast. I'd like for you to be my guest on my podcast. If and I read your book and it was great. She gets right back. I'd love to be a guest on your podcast. I'm like, oh, this is fun. I read her book now. So then I started just inviting everybody on that I'd ever read their book. Anyone. So we were on this, it went on for, I guess, about 2 years. It was a burnout. We were on a fast, or we were on a speed train. And it was every week. The podcast was every Wednesday. So every week I was reading another book. I was taking all these trainings and it was just insanity. It burned us out, but man, we had a lot of fun.
I love it.
But that really opened up a network of like, I need women. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, I called it Soul Sister Circle. It was like, I just need women. I need to be circled by women. This isn't, I intuitively could see very clearly that women weren't so judgmental of me and what I was doing. They were more afraid of what I was opening up, you know? And they were only afraid of what it looked like to them. And I just wanted to understand that better. And I wanted to have better language. And spirituality was really on the rise then, like Wayne Dyer and, Louise Hayes and all the OGs were like here,
Mhm.
they were still with us. And it was just such an awesome time of awakening, but also a very difficult time because lots of people weren't on that wave.
Yeah.
It's always been about women. It's always about the divine feminine awakening. I think it probably has to do with my mother. I've had the blessing to be surrounded by amazing female teachers. There's one, her name is Therese Jornlin. She's amazing. She taught me how to breathe when I couldn't breathe. Um, and she had women's circles in her house, in her living room. And she never advertised, no website. She always said, if you found me, God brought you to me. Like there's no, and there was all ages of women in this space, so you could be 17 or 95.
Mhm.
And I learned so much from all of these different types of women, and it was like the divine feminine needed some room to evolve and grow and feel safe. And to feel safe, we needed to circle with other women of all ages and hear all of the stories, everybody's stories.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I feel like I can't get enough of that still.
Yeah.
Like that flame has never snuffed out. It's
I
like
love that.
consistently curious because we all have so much to learn from each other. Oh, I'm circling back. During one of those circles at Teresa's house, um, I realized that it was all for my mom. I could cry right now because my mom had me really young. She was in a very abusive relationship. She moved on from that, and life became beautiful. Married my stepdad, and it was amazing. But you know, I knew that my mom didn't have a voice for a lot of things. You know, and it was kind of like I think inherent in me somewhere that this was all for my mom, so weird because I don't actually talk like that and I don't create things and I'm like, this is for my mom. And actually my mom thinks a lot of my shit is like crazy, but she does, she loves it, but she's
Yeah.
like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But there's some sort of like underlying energy that's like, I will be a woman with a voice. I will never abandon myself. I will
Yeah.
always speak to what I want, and I will constantly transform myself to the day I die. I will never be told that I am one thing, ever.
Amen. I love that. And it does feel like, in a way, it does make sense that it's for your mom because you're unlocking like a generational like scenario that isn't yours and it wasn't hers. It was thrust upon her, and she didn't have the availability or the space to clear it for herself. And in you freeing yourself, you've certainly freed her, or at least given her the inkling that, like, okay, like what happened to me didn't happen to her. And I can imagine as a mother, that would be your biggest
Yeah.
like blessing to be like, oh, thank you. Okay. Like if what I went through leads to her not going through this, then it was worth every second of it. So I'm
Yeah.
sure
And knowing I
it's
have
very,
daughters, it's just I believe that there is in every family, there is one that I think has been labeled the black sheep. I like to say they're the bright light. And they shine the light on everything and nobody likes it, right? They can't, and but there is always one in the family that's there to break the ancestral trauma wounds, because most of our ancestral trauma wounds are just habitual patterns of
Mhm.
behavior. You know, maybe there's evil. However, I just notice a lot of overwhelmed people. I don't think that people are inherently horrible and evil. I think there are just people that are overwhelmed, you know? So I definitely know that I was that one to break a lot of rules. And I definitely know that that break enabled my children, my daughters, to move about their lives in a very different way.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that's kind of like that's like where we are right now, right? Isn't
Yeah.
this like where we are in the rays of consciousness and you know life moving on and humans ascending or whatever you want to call this weird time we're in right now?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if those years didn't happen, um, where would we be?
Yeah.
Well,
They are important. I think there are a lot of people that are very able to skirt through life, pushing down things around them and not taking the meaning from them. And then there are scenarios where you just can't. Maybe someone's become ill,
yes,
you know,
or they're
you
not
got in a car accident, your house burned down, like who knows? But they're like unavoidable, like, "Bah, okay, here we go." And I think as children, we maybe are shielded a little too much from things that should help to set a really good, like palatable response, like
here.
a system that we can gauge, like, ooh, ooh, like, okay. And
Yes.
I think it's so beautiful that teachers like you are out there now because so many of us were raised because of how our parents were raised and how their parents were raised to just bury crap and not be a burden to the person that's barely making it and like running your life, aka your parent, whomever. And that burying, I think, is what has made us so sick in so many different ways as a generation. But I love that your work focuses on making the head and the heart feel better. Can you feel your body? Are you aware of your meat suit? And like, let's get some body awareness tapped into how we feel, tapped into what we want. Your Reiki work, moving the energy, and then helping people to feel comfortable where we all need to feel comfortable, which is at home.
Hmm.
To me is like the perfect suite of things because you are truly making all portions of the soul feel comfortable. And I
Hmm.
do really think it is kind of like a gradual, like, okay, I'll work on this and I'll work on that. But I feel like feng shui would probably be like the gateway drug for people. Is that kind of like, let's talk about feng shui. I think there was like a moment where us like 90s, 80s, 90s kids would see like on Oprah or like Ricky Lake, there'd be a feng shui expert. That was like when I feel like it came to America and we are all like, what is this? So
I
like
remember
that's
those days because I was like right at the TV screen, like, oh my God.
you were like, this is my life. I was just like, Mom, our couch isn't in the right place. Like I remember just being like, this couch shouldn't be here. This man said no, we're looking at the wrong thing.
Yes, my bed is facing the door. That means I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Feng Shui is the natural art of placing things within your home that follow a natural order. And so in Feng Shui, there are several different types of Feng Shui. But the Bagua map may show up different depending upon what, if it's black sector, or I'm not going to go through all that, but there are different types of feng shui. But a basic, I'm a Virgo. Like I love a good map, you know, like I'm just going to like, let's do it all. So a Bagua map is set up for us as it's just a map. It's like having your astrology chart. It's like a blueprint. And I always say to people when I'm
Mm.
working with them, like, imagine your astrology chart. It's just transparent blueprint. And then we're going to take the feng shui bagua map and it's just transparent. We're going to overlay it and we're going to overlay it over your personality and all of the things matter. And it's like a treasure hunt to align everything in your life to nourish all of the things that nourish you. You've clutter in your house, you've got clutter in your house.
Man, you're my husband over there. If he could hear you right now, he'd be like, "Do you hear her?" I'm a
It is
Taurus. I
true.
live for like a little like dirty rabbit's den that I can just get in and be like, okay, now I can get to business. He needs like a stark white, like, no, this is my palette, like clean up shop
Yes.
here. So we may need to
Yeah.
overlap our charts here and figure out.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Go over there and feng shui the shit out of your house. I just think feng shui makes sense.
Yeah.
Nobody wants clutter in their home, and clutter is always coming from some other source. Always. And it can be little clutter. It can be the clutter on your nightstand, or the clutter on the corner of your dining room table, or it's just, and it's never anything that we feel proud of. It's the thing that you want to cover up as soon as somebody comes into your house,
Yeah,
right?
and it feels like a monkey on your back. You're like, oh, I
Hmm.
gotta deal with that. Oh,
Yes.
that's
And
how
you
I am.
deserve, I mean, I'm inspired by beauty, and I believe Gary Zukav speaks to this all the time, and it just resonates with me that beauty is the gateway to spirituality. Also, Lee Harris speaks about this. He's a medium. He's amazing. Beauty is the gateway to spirituality, and it's as simple as looking at a flower. And like it's just like you go somewhere else when you are observing beauty in nature, and it makes you feel good. It just makes you feel good. So what is that? And then we seek more beauty all the time. So I believe that there is a beauty way. The natives often spoke of the beauty way, walking the beauty way, and that's just following the nature's way, nature's elements. And if we apply feng shui to our first ourselves, that's kind of my method is we can look at the Bagua map and I can, help you reorganize your space to reflect your intentions. But what are your intentions?
Mm, big key.
What do you want? And when the thing that I love the most about the Bagua map from a Virgo perspective is that it compartmentalizes our lives. I love compartments. Love it, love it, love it. So we can take a look at all of these areas of our lives. For example, in the center of the Bagua map is Earth. And I always like to start there with people because it's you. You are the center of your home. You are the nucleus. Your walls are vibing off you. Your pets are vibing off you. Literally, you're a vibe. You're a piece of electricity. So everything is activated off of you. So you start in the center, really identifying that you're just a soul. The soul is full of ambition. It's all the other little microcosm hesitant cells in our body that have maybe been banged up on different things in life that are like, oh, wait a minute. And the soul's like, let's go. Got this
Hmm.
one life. Let's do it. So you're just a soul. And then when you move out from that sector, if you move to the front center of the map, it's purpose. Um, life path, it shows the names are switched differently, but they basically have the same meaning. And that's just kind of like, I always say to people, um, you have like 30,000 followers on social media. They're not your friends. I love you, but they are not your friends. They're just like acquaintances, you just like run into them. You run into them on the web, maybe at Wawa or at a concert or whatever, but they're not your friends. But and I always like to use that scenario for the purpose area. If you were to stand at your front door in the morning, only because we're social media, we're living this world now. So we got to take it into everything we do because it's so much a part of our lives. If you went to your front door in the morning, and you're standing there, your hair all messed up, and your cup of coffee, and you open up the front door, and there's 30,000 people standing at your front door, like, "Hey, Sally, Sally, I got a question, Sally, I got." I would slam the door shut.
Hmm.
I would not be prepared for that, you know. So when we look towards the front door of your home, listeners, the front door of your home is very, very important. It is the mouth of chi. Lots of energy is coming into your house, and your energy, your soul's purpose is leaving out the front door. So it's really important to kind
Mm.
of ask yourself, like, what is my purpose?
Mm.
Like, what is that question anyway? You know,
Wow.
purpose changes upon every moment that you meet somebody else. It's a consistent flowing thing. It also represents the element of water. So it's like, how can I already identify with the best of me that day? And where can I bring that? To whom? To where?
Wow. So that's way deeper than I thought feng shui was. So that's very enjoyable. Goodness. Okay. So how are you working with people in with feng shui at the moment? Can they work with you online as well? Is it just in
Mhm.
person? How does that work?
Well, I always say like feng shui is like everything that I do. I can't help it. And you've been in my studio space that like everything's kind of in its place on purpose. Exactly. Feng
It's a
shui for
beautiful
people.
flow.
Thank you for recognizing that. But feng shui and energy work, I mean, really, when I'm running Reiki, I'm just life force energy is just taken over, and it's just reorganizing people's energies. There's nothing wrong. We're not taking away anything. There's really no healing. There's just a reorganizing your energy in a way that makes sense. It feels good. And sometimes in life we get jacked up, something that's in your gut, maybe stuck in your head. We just kind of
Hmm.
reorganize that and you feel better and you're more authentically you. That's the whole purpose of that. So I use feng shui in private sessions with people, but also in my portal, which is my online community. We're swaying all the time. There's no other way to go, so we're
Shui.
constantly following the seasons. All of my programs, I run them seasonally, even coaching programs, everything is seasonal. There's no other way to go. But I am teaching a feng shui course actually tomorrow that
Well,
is,
we're going literally live tomorrow. So
oh, awesome. Yay. Well, join
when you're
me.
listening, you could catch this.
Join me. It will be recorded and you can purchase it later as well as a course.
We'll
Um,
put it in the show notes for sure.
yeah, you can let everybody know and that would be awesome. But I think did I answer your question? I don't even know where I was going with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I think people are sometimes curious. I was always curious if, coming into the world of like thinking like, "Oh yeah, I would love to like do Reiki." But in your head you think like, "Well, do I have to be there?" And it, was always a question like, "Is that something you can do digitally?" And it is. So, talk a little bit about that because I think some people that are very brand new to it might have the predisposition that it's like only an in-person thing. And I think you will beautifully answer why it doesn't really matter where you are. It's
Yes.
yeah.
So Reiki is energy. The word Reiki is spiritually guided life force energy. So energy is everywhere. This is just we're a spark of electricity. Your heart is beating because you're an electronic being. We are electricity. We are atoms. We are moving all the time. So when we are frequencing, right? Our energy is frequencing all the time. And that frequency, some call it your auric field, but you can just be simple and just say your frequency. That is being picked up by others all the time. So often you can feel a person's energy when they enter the room. They don't have to say a word. And you're like, sad, excited, wild, whatever. And they're just picking up on your energy. So, when we look at Reiki, which is considered a hands on healing art, it's not so much hands on. We're actually, my Reiki training school, I call it the modern healer's method because I truly feel that Reiki is one of the most modern healing tools that we have to meet us where we are today because it is not a religion. It has nothing to do, it is completely non denominational, it is spiritual. And what makes it spiritual is simply connecting with nature, connecting with energy, connecting with rhythm and intention. Where does intention come from? Intention comes from your soul. Intention comes from the part of you that like really wants that thing. And we've made that so wrong in the world for so many years, right? And it's like,
It's
why would you snuff out your heart's like burning desire? That's the
yeah,
compass.
yeah.
Um, don't know. And once again, I feel like I'm just going all over the place
No,
here.
you're literally killing it right now. I love that I didn't know that that's what the word meant, but it makes perfect sense. I will say I saw a friend get Reiki healing once in Philadelphia many, many years ago, and she was just in such a tough place physically with her body, and she was
Mm,
always in pain. And this person was just trying to help her mentally accept
yeah.
that the body is limiting. And we were really young at the time, and she was kind of, I guess now looking back on it, was faced with her mortality. That's what it was. There was
Mm,
just a lot of like, like all the feelings that come with thinking about your mortality. And then there was this moment where the healer just, it looked like just literally put a key in and then left and then just stepped back. And she opened the key herself. And then it literally looked like I have goosebumps. Can't even explain it. It just, something just poured out of her. Her chest lifted up off of like just a smidgen. Like it was like she was stretching her rib cage. And she
mm,
just let out every fear she was holding in. And I was like, man, what a gift that person has, and what a gift to be able to give, and what a gift to receive. And
yeah.
it is literally just the 3 foot field of energy that, like, an electromagnetic
Yes.
thing can like read around us. Like, it is real, guys. You can turn on the History Channel and find a program about our 3 foot field of aura.
Yes.
Um, but
If you
it's,
please put your arms out from side to side, that's about the width of your energy field. It's like,
yeah.
and as above you. So,
Yeah.
we
They're
are,
probably not, well, actually, a lot of my readers or a lot of my listeners are 40 plus. So, do you guys remember when we would go to turn a radio dial and you'd find the station, and then the minute you stepped away, it started to
yes,
get fuzzy? Your electric field was helping that knob get
yes.
more oomph in its search. And when you step away, that is why you would have to change it. Like, I saw that on a History Channel
It's
show. Okay.
crazy,
So,
isn't
like,
it?
this is real shit here. And to be a person like Sally to be able to tap into that, does that take just a lot of belief from you in understanding like this is out here for all of us to receive and interact with? How does it get to the point to where you're like, ooh, Reiki is what I'm gonna do?
Yeah. Well, for me, my very first Reiki treatment, I had a profound experience and it was undeniable. Like I could feel my whole body surging. I felt everything. I remember getting off that table and I was like, well, what the fuck was that? Like, I need to know what that is and I need to learn that. And the next week I was in her Reiki training class.
Oh,
It was an undeniable, and I think that is the thing for all of you people out there that are like, I don't know about this Reiki thing. Go have an energy session with someone and you will know. You will know. I always like dogs, pets they read us off our energy. There's a frequency shared. So their behavior is mirroring us,
hmm,
you know, and they are unconditional lovers. So that's a perfect place to start is watch how your dog responds to you or your cat or whatever animal you got in your house, to you crying, to you being excited, to just you coming home. What are they feeling? They're feeling your energy. But it is the thing that make Reiki is not magic. It just is. We're breathing all the time. What is air? Like, what is air? If you were to ask my kids what is air, they'd say God. Um,
oh,
it's
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
Maybe it's breathing us. Maybe we're not the ones doing the breathing.
Ooh,
We're not conscious.
ooh, Sally.
Are we walking around like breathing? No, we're not even thinking about it. We're not even thinking about it. So there's this mystical force out there. It's only because we don't talk about it. That's why it's so mystical. But the fact of the matter is that air, oxygen, prana is supporting all life, and it's not treating us any differently. If I'm a cockroach or I'm a human, we're both alive. I'm being breathed, that's being breathed. Who's to say one is better or bigger than the other? Right? You are being breathed. I always say the same thing goes for if we look at humans and we're like, that's a horrible human. That human is sitting on death row. That human is bad, 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 bad. Well, something is breathing them and something is breathing me, and that's the same thing. So it must love us all so unconditionally that breath must be powered by something bigger. That's just where I go.
Love that. And that thought,
Heartbeat. Our heartbeat is like, where is our heartbeat frequencing from? Like we are frequencing off of, I believe, the heart of the earth, the Schumann resonance. We are a part of like a whole thing here, you know? It just to me, it's like, hello. I don't but it's so obvious. And the magic of Reiki, I think, is getting into that. It's like surfing, you're just surfing the vibe. Like I always often tell people when they're on my table, like, don't change your breath. Just surf it, feel it moving into your body and watch your chest rise and watch your body just receive it. And
mhm,
then surf your exhale without pushing, no forcing anything, and watch your body's highest form of intelligence to teach you how to trust and
mm,
let go. And faith is at the bottom of the breath. Mortality is at the bottom of the breath.
mm,
But
man.
when we put attention intention to that, like
Mhm,
I'm gonna work with you, life force, without attachments, and I'm just gonna apply you to this person's heart or underneath their right clavicle. They seem to be holding something like a dense energy I can feel. Could you bring your breath to that and maybe help them with that a little bit? And the
mhm.
intention is always just to be free.
Oh,
Always.
love,
So
love.
Reiki isn't always something we need to come at when we're feeling bad or we're healing. It's kind of just your energetic hygiene.
Yeah.
It's your
Ooh,
responsibility to kind of organize your energies all the time because we live in a very influenced world. We are never truly organically ourselves.
yeah. That is a really good point because you will have fluctuations of energy throughout your week, your day, and you can think you've like done enough work to like get to a place where something isn't going to bother you, but it's almost like new levels, new devils, right? Like you're always going to have to keep adjusting. And I think I've never done Reiki personally, but it is, I would imagine, something that kind of cleans the clocks a bit to where you do get a new foundation to like, okay, I can build from here now. And
Yes.
now I've reached like a plateau to where I'm feeling like, okay, I need another swoop, come in,
This is
keep
kind of like
going.
harmonizes you.
Yeah.
Yes, I've worked with a lot of people with terminal illness and lots of trauma, but I work with a lot of just like people that are, they just want to feel better. They want to vibe better. They want to, keep themselves energetically clean. We live in a very polluted world.
Hmm.
And like, how often are you clearing your energy?
Hmm. It's also really beautiful too to have a moment in like a society where we're living online so much to where you do get to have a physical interaction with someone in that way that helps to untap a part of you forgot about. I think that's a gift to give because there's a lot of people that would come in and be like, oh, this isn't going to work for me. And the moment that it does, not only have you unlocked like this whole new world for them to rabbit hole into if they choose to, but you've given them that peace of knowing, like, okay, there
Yes.
might be more ways out there for me to keep feeling better.
Oh, it's my favorite thing to do. It's like if you're not a believer, ooh, let's talk. Let's get into it. And like, imagine this, if anything else, just for people who might still be a little leery of it. The Your nervous system is rocked. Everybody's nervous systems are rocked. I mean, we learned that from 2020. What a gift 2020 was, and the pandemic and everything, for us to like really see ourselves in our situations and our work and our relationships. And we were like, how did I get here? You know?
Hmm.
So our nervous and having like worldly things happen was very frightening. So our nervous systems are not okay. And when do you ever take the time to drop in, really? Like we can all say we meditate. Meditating in the morning is the best time of the day to meditate. We can all say that we do all that, and that's lovely. But to actually be forced, not forced, it's by, you're doing it willingly, but to lay down on a table for 30 to 45 minutes and let your nervous system untangle and to take to rest for that long And really, you're not doing anything, but you're breathing, cueing you to breathe. It's just, you're just literally doing nothing. There is never a time that somebody doesn't get up off of my table or virtually when they open their eyes and they just look like a different person. I always say I should do before and after pictures because we're heavy, and then when we unload, we're a little brighter. We're a little bit more buoyant. Optimism is easy when you're not so heavy. It's really hard when you're heavy, you know? That's
Yes,
why
there's
like
def
the positivity movement can be like a little, it's like, it's not that easy.
it's not that easy. And I think I wish people would be more honest about like there's no sweetness without suffering, right? Like and
Yeah,
you can't jump over it. You gotta go through it. And I think what I love most about like where we are in like this era of healing and people being awakened to healing and healers recognizing that like, not only do I love this, but I have a gift for this and like this is what I was put here to do to help awaken others to, the possibilities that are out there. You can feel better. You can take a little bit of initiative in like helping yourself to keep evolving. But I love that what is starting now to seem like we're getting to the place of the momentum is that people are having more conversations about things needing to be hard most times for it to be a worthy lesson that's gonna stick. You can kind of like take the shortcuts. I feel like the 2000s were about the shortcuts.
totally.
And if you grew up in that time, it did really, I think, skew a lot of people into thinking that life's going to be easy because now we have all these things that have made life easier. But all it did was make life harder
Sure
because we
did.
got softer. And in the softness that felt really great, now some people are just so afraid to even just think of taking a step, let alone taking a step. And I really love that we're entering into a place now where, the early adopters are now in the habit of recognizing, no, no, you have to go through the hard. The hard isn't as scary as you think. It's the first step. And then, like, after that, you're just repeating taking a first step for the rest of your life. And accepting that is so freeing
So freeing.
rather than looking at it like a daunting step of a million things you have to do for the rest of your life. It's like
Mhm.
it isn't the end goal. It is truly every step, every decision is the journey.
Yes. And your nervous system is like your best friend. It is your intuition. And it is seeking out peace. It doesn't want to be frazzled. It is seeking, because when your nervous system is like this, your frequency is like that. So the nervous
Hmm.
system is in place. I believe our whole body, I mean, we are put together and engineered in such a magnificent way. Like, God is so brilliant. Like, every part of us is so brilliant. Your eyes face forward, your toes face forward, your breath lifts up. Like, everything about it just blows my mind. It's amazing engineering. But our nervous system is really our GPS. So we have to nourish the nervous system. So I don't care if you don't want to talk spirituality, that's fine. If you don't want to talk, about the stars and all these other crazy things, that's fine. That's fine. Let's talk about your nervous system. How's your nervous system health? Are you good? Do you feel grounded? Do you know how to get yourself grounded? You know, that's the most important thing. And once the nervous system feels an untangling, and I think this is why like energy sessions, even yoga or lots of other modalities, not just Reiki, a lot of these things are so helpful because they teach people what normal is supposed to feel like.
Yeah,
When
baseline.
you can't unknow what you know, no matter what you're going through. And a storm is coming, you're like, okay, just lost my job and this is really hard and my nervous system feels shitty, but I know that my nervous system is going to navigate me to the next safe thing. And if we can learn to trust that, I think we would all be living differently. Don't you think?
For sure. I think there came a moment we moved I made my I made my husband move down here 4 years ago. And my anxiety at the time, like everything that I thought was just going to be like perfect and amazing, just all fell away, fell through, nothing. It was just like literally like not even a rock bottom. That's a weird thing to say, but it was like, you wanted this, you asked for this, here you go, start from square one.
Yeah.
And it was phew, probably like what I guess we would call like one of the hardest portions of our marriage. And that's including like my dad dying, and he was my world.
Mm.
And that at least had a finality to it, to where I had nothing to do with him passing. But this phase that I went through, I had every bit of having something to do with, because it was my decisions that I made for our family unit that led to like pretty much a crash course into both of us having to really take a look at our lives and like, all right, we made this decision. What are we going to do about it now? But at the time, I was ravaged with anxiety,
Yeah.
stomach pains, like couldn't not go to bed without feeling my solar plexus feeling like somebody was playing marbles on it all night long. Like it was just fluttering, fluttering, fluttering 24/7. It wouldn't matter if like I went to the fridge and realized we were out of milk. It'd be
Yeah.
like brrrr, it would just peak up, but it was always like a bag of bumblebees that just never turned off. And then about a year ago, I recognized I was going through something annoying, something super annoying. Oh, the flies are back. Yay.
Hey, we
Yay,
call them
beach
stray. We're
season.
pets too, you know?
They do. I love them. Poor little guy. Um, and in the moment of taking in what I just heard, normally that would have been a thing where, like, for days, my energy would be trash. And I recognized on my drive home that my chest felt nothing. I felt calm. I felt peaceful. And I immediately came home and told Fernando, and he was like, oh, wow. And then every moment after that, any little thing that would normally, like our car breaking down, nothing, not a single thing. Certainly, like my dad passing was the ultimate, like, well, if everyone I love is alive, then we have no problems, guys. Like, start there. But it
Yeah.
was the physical that needed to catch up with my brain because my body was just so used to everything being a problem. And since that's happened, my health has started to get better. And it was a lot of stomach problems, which
Mm-hmm.
makes perfect sense since I was constantly stuck in flight or fight. Like there was
Yes.
no nervous system being peaceful and like getting a little rest. So I say that to say that I lived a whole life in that shaky phase. And I never even thought I would even feel it once, let
Mm-hmm.
alone feel it all the time to where I forget that I feel it until something bad happen to register like, oh, wait, I'm not feeling anything because I'm just feeling equal. Like it is possible. It takes work for sure.
It
It was a
does.
lot of conscious work. But once I realized it was possible, I was kind of addicted to it. I'm like, oh, I definitely want to feel like this all the time. Like how can how can we make this be a thing? And I'm imagining Reiki regularly would be like one of those things that are going to help you to kind of like
Yes.
move
Yeah.
that energy quicker.
Remember who you are. We're a soul. You're a soul. I mean, you know, the only thing it just to remember that we're in this meat suit is picking up information and storing it, and it creates like a density in our souls, you know, language,
Mm.
mission, funny personality. Nothing can perceive because it's all entangled with the nervous system. So we got to make friends. This is the first relationship we have. We were never taught it. I mean, you know, it's 2025. We are, you know, we're coming online to like we don't know anything. We really don't know anything now. It's like, you know, but the body is the vehicle, and you know, we should be feeding it well, hydrating it well, untangling the nervous system, and not because it's a chore, but because it's your relationship, you know? So it comes back down to like feng shui. Like we got to like make sure all the clutter is in order or cleared, you know, so that like our soul can just kind of radiate through the screen of our body all the time.
Full circle. It is really beautiful now to see full picture how all everything that you do and you focus on teaching other people really is the complete picture. And I think in the past, I started like what I'll call like a self-growth journey back in 2010. Back then it was kind of like the Wild West. There wasn't really too much out there.
I used to
Some
say
books,
the self-help, when that came online, you know, the self-help community and everything, and I loved it. You probably did too. Dived right in. It did us dirty, didn't it?
very. Like
Mhm.
I almost like look at it akin to like the religious leaders that went awry. It's like they got the power and they really fed off it and they went for it. And you know, you can read these books and you can do these things, but you really do have to take everything with a grain of salt. It's just like reading about anything. You don't have to make every recipe you learn, right? Like you can take it and be like, I like this ingredient. I'm going to take this ingredient with me, but this whole recipe is not for me. But at a time when so many of us in my generation, I'll be 40, we were kind of like we didn't get what we needed from our parents, but we're very aware of that something is mildly off, maybe very off.
Yes.
And then we were having to turn to daytime talk shows like Oprah. And then Oprah introduced Super Soul Sundays in our early 20s.
My gosh.
And then we were like, oh, okay. So this is attainable. It got a little bit better. Eckhart Tolle was getting some like because of Oprah. But then we still kind of fell into the momentum of like, be careful who you idolize and be careful whose knowledge you put above your own. Because I think the biggest thing for me was recognizing they're just telling us about their journey. It's
Yes.
never verbatim going to be my journey, but I should be inspired and want to aspire to creating my own journey. But I think there was a moment where it became a little evangelistic because as receivers, we also weren't taught that we're independent and we can filter what we want instead of taking all of it. So it feels like it needed to happen
Oh, yeah, had to.
so we could get to this place now to where we're like, okay, I'm back with some discernment. I'm ready to go. I'm a little
Yes.
bit older. I think I understand more of where I want to go with like my intention and my journey. And we're so blessed to have healers and teachers like you that are in this place. And you've come right up along this history as well, but being blessed to be on the side of it that gets to be absorbing it to then turn it back out and give it to everyone else.
Yeah, it's quite a ride. I have no idea. Like people say, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Do you really want to know?" Like, I don't know. I just teach people how to be a soul, I guess.
You
But
really do.
it is right on time. We're all healers. Everyone's got a story. And the minute you share and the minute you listen without judgment, and you can only listen without judgment if you've got a calmer, untangled nervous system,
Hmm.
right? So,
Yep.
like, everything coincides. And I believe this is the time, you know? This is right on time. This is
100%.
it's all happening right now. So why not just like surrender to it and just like be yourself, you know? Because I always say that like every single soul is a musical note and we are out of harmony. Humanity, not nature. Listen, everything's fine. It's only humans we're
Just
the
us
only
guys.
problem. Everything else is okay. The planet's
Hmm.
fine. She's going to figure it out. But it's us and when so many people are out of harmony because they don't really even know what it is to be themselves because we're so focused on that what is my purpose? That you're not one thing. You're a gazillion things. You're going to be 10,000 things from morning to night. But who are you? How do you walk, talk, laugh, love? Like we need to know these basic things about ourselves that are not told by outside perspectives. Stop asking people to tell you who you are,
Yes.
you know? And just know that like this is the time to like wave your freak flag, man. This is the age of Aquarius. Like just come on out and be you. And as soon as I really do believe that are the babies that are being born now are like literally coded. Um, we will be the time capsules, the keepers of the knowledge of the way that the world was and where we could go if we don't keep ourselves clean energetically. But we're going there. It's happening. So like learn your music and love it, and just be it. Find people and circles that support you singing your weird music, right?
Yes. I mean, speaking of, everyone just needs to join Sally's group. All of the links for everything Sally does are definitely going to be in the show notes, but the community is absolutely, I think, something everyone needs right now. I deeply benefited from the three women circles that I put myself in over this winter, and I don't think my spring would be nearly what it is now had I not done that. And I think, there's definitely a momentum that seems to be happening. But if you find yourself living in a place where you really don't or can't find that community. You don't need to go looking for it all over the place. You can maybe find that vibe with someone like Sally and just realize like we're part of a whole big group. Like you have people from all over in your community, and I think it's just a testament to what power there is in just meeting. And even just if you don't have anything to share that day, just being able to be there and be a smiling face for someone else sharing what a difficult thing they're going through, it really does help. We're
It
supposed
helps.
to be living together, and there's so much right now that wants us to be living apart. And I think you're such a beautiful facilitator to do that and bring people together in that way that really does unlock a little bit of not only the harmony that we are needing, but the recognition within people that it's okay. It's not silly. It's not frivolous to put time into these things like we were taught over
Yeah.
the last couple decades. Like in reality, those were the controls that were passed on to those people that told you that. And we have to relinquish ourselves from them. And the more we share, the more we realize how close we are rather than how far apart we are. And I think I'm just so thankful that you're out here doing this because it really not only like will you, I'm sure, continue to spark people in the way that you did way back during your divorce and your yoga and like creating a studio and a space, you're still doing that same thing now. And I think it's important for people to hear because if Sally can do it, your decision to just join a community or have a Reiki session or, just sit down with intention and think about what your purpose is, you never know who's watching. You could be giving someone else permission to do that. I think, are just taught to live these important parts of ourselves away from others. And that's the problem. Like we're feeling now the remnants of what that means to become so disconnected from each other that like we don't even sometimes as a group have the
Hmm.
decency to be able to give someone a bad day. Like you're allowed to have a bad day. We're all allowed to have a bad day, but I'm just so thankful for everything you do, Sally. Thank you for your light and your energy and just giving it so freely. It sounds like for your whole life, which is a big dedication to sharing yourself. And I can only imagine how tiring and exhausting that can be at times. But
Yes.
but thank you for taking care of yourself as
Oh,
well and then
I live
showing
for
that
conscious
extension.
conversations. Yeah, conscious conversations. Like, thank you, Sarah, like for holding space for conscious conversations and being so open and vulnerable so that I can see your soul. It's so much easier to connect when we show each other who we are.
Yeah. No masks, no faces at
None.
all. Ugh.
We
Oh,
all become like ageless in that too, which I think is so cool.
yeah.
It's just that we
Yes.
talk
There's
about that a little
way
bit tonight too.
less walls than we think
Hmm.
everywhere. Like there should almost be none.
Yeah.
Like if you're unless you're using the bathroom, let's keep it wide open, guys. Like,
Yes.
we're all here to be connecting. Oh, I always have one final question,
Yes.
and it's this. Sally, how do you make your life rich?
Oh, I love that question. I make my life rich in the simple pleasures of what I surround myself in. So it starts in the morning when I open my eyes and I look at my plant that blooms beautiful flowers all year long. And it's like right next to my bed on purpose, making my coffee in the morning the way that I want it to be, reading a book. My morning routine makes my life rich. Let's just
Ooh,
say that.
I love that. It's a good one to have. It sounds
Mhm.
beautiful. And for anyone that is just in general loving Sally and you're like, I need more of this, you certainly do. I feel very blessed to have physical proximity to her.
Yay,
But
we're lucky.
I promise you, there is so much to be not only learned, but just received from Sally. Sally is such a giving person. And especially if you find yourself in a place right now where you're not feeling very supported and you are looking for that light that is going to help you find your way back to you. Sally, Sally, Sally. That's all I can say.
That's funny.
um,
Just hug. If you're not feeling good, just let me hug you.
oh man, yeah. And if you can make it down to Wildwood Crest, New Jersey, and you're not a creeper, then you are welcome to join at BeSoul Studios. you're a creeper, I'm gonna get you. But if you're not a
I'm gonna
creeper,
tell
then
you,
you're very
bring.
welcome.
Hey, listen, Jesus would tell people, right? Not everybody was invited to have dinner with them. Be like, hey, you, John, come on, in. You, oh,
See,
there you
Sophie
go.
agrees.
The alarm right
Said, get
there.
out. Shh, it's okay.
Aw.
This was
We'll do
perfect.
this again.
Yes, please. Thank you. And Sally, you're amazing. Guys, click all the links in the show notes. You are going to be very thankful for getting to know Sally better. And please follow her Instagram. It's beautiful. And Sally, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Big love to you. Thank you.